having the conversations prior to marriage is important to understand who you are trying to be with. Woman, if you want a fairy tale husband, you cannot marry a man that does not understand what fairy tales are.
I got a song for that too. Anita Baker.
Mm.
What was it? Fairy tales. I can remember stories, those things my mama said. She told me fairy tale. Yo, that's a good one too. He never came to save me. Yeah, yeah, you're right. Because he never came because, like you said, he probably didn't know what a fairy. What is that?
So I had an ex once tell me that that I wanted Prince Charming, but I got Jerome. And it was very funny. It was very funny. But years later, I had to realize what he was saying was, I don't know nothing. I'm from the streets. I don't know nothing about that fairy tale Prince Charming. I don't know nothing about that. But if someone
Mhm.
walk up on you, they're gonna have a problem. You see? So it's yeah, the communication is definitely important. The communication building skills. You should never run into a roadblock in a relationship where you feel like you can't talk.
It
You should
happens
never
though. It
write it
happens
down then.
because okay, we get through the honeymoon stage, we get into the relationship like really good. Okay, let's say the man wants a friend. I don't know. After how I see it, after sex get involved, it's like it all gets fuzzy. I don't know why. It gets fuzzy because now we can't communicate like we used to. Or I can't. Okay, so you say the dude is looking for trust.
Mhm.
One way he's looking for trust is I got some stuff going on. I need to come to you and talk to you. But I don't want you to look at me or I don't want you to I don't want you to look at me as like I'm doing something wrong or try to fix what I'm telling you. I'm sharing this with you because you're my friend. You know what I mean? Like I just need to get this off my chest. I don't need you to well, you need to that's because you did this and that's because you did. I don't want to hear that. You know what I'm saying? But you can't do that once you're in the relationship. I guess that's for men and women too. Like we don't communicate like she said, we don't talk the way we used to talk. Like something else is going on. Like maybe we got too familiar with each other. You know what I mean? Maybe it's something that to keep the relationship young, to keep the relationship young, like it was in the honeymoon stage, is something we need to do.
I think we have that that really really opened up the conversation there because it just made me think of the dependency aspect that we put on the other person for our own happiness
Mm,
and
mm,
it's bringing intimacy into the picture. If it's not already a protected situation, I can see where emotions cause cause the communication to be broken down, but that just means you move too fast again.
mm,
It's
mhm.
like it's almost like intimacy was used as a substitute or a gap filler for lack of communication in certain areas. Because intimacy should never be, it should never overshadow the fundamental communication skills that you've built with that person. If that makes any sense. Like I've seen both sides of the fence. I've seen relationships where the person they're friends, they become, more than friends, they get married, but they still have that friendship aspect.
Love that.
Like it's
Right.
it's not an ownership. It's not a now you're married to me and I own you.
Hmm.
It's yeah, we chose to be together and we're rocking out as friends and I'm me and he's him and but we're still friends, but we're committed in our friendship and our marriage, you
Hmm.
know. But then I've seen the other opposite aspect of okay, well, they were friends, but they were a certain type of friend. They didn't really. They didn't make it all the way to this deep enough friendship to where the communication skills were ready to be a relationship, right? They couldn't communicate. They were friends, but they still flirted. They were friends, but they didn't really communicate about the deep subjects. Like you have homies that you probably talk to about surface level or about specific subjects. Then you have other homies that you could talk to about everything,
Right.
right?
Word.
That's the
Word.
difference. It's like I just like I have sister friends. It's like, yeah, girl, I know her I can talk to about some things. But I know this friend over here, I can talk to her about anything under the sun. I can be vulnerable. I can tell her all my truths. She's not going to tell anything. There's levels of friendship. So I just feel like it just depends on what level of friend you are before you jump into the relationship to where, yeah, you can be friends, get into the relationship, intimacy becomes involved, and then the ownership of, well, you're mine now, you're my friend, you're my friend and you're my man. Well, you're no longer my friend, you're my man. Honestly, it becomes that way. Or you're no longer my friend, you're my woman, you're my wife. So now in my mind, and it really is a mentality, in your mind, the responsibilities change, right? So there's a lot more expectation there, and it's expectation because of the change of the title, not because of the work that you put into it. Does that make sense? Did that make sense? Like trying to walk through it. If you're already friends and you already put the work into being that friend that you can tell anything to, and they're my best friend, and then you become you go into a relationship, then it's like, yeah, okay, she already knows everything about me. I already talked to her about everything. So intimacy is just icing on the cake. But if you haven't done that friendship work that deep, if you were just, that was my homie that I could talk to about movies. And every time we talked about movies, we got along. And you have that aspect, then yeah, if you put intimacy in it, all these other aspects
It's
were
going to
not
go to
covered.
this. Yeah. Yeah. Well, what comes to mind for me is some can I be vulnerable with that person now? Like, what if she's perfect? Let's just say he's going in it for aesthetic reasons. She looks wonderful, but I can't be vulnerable with her.
Why would you want that?
I mean, or he can take care of me. He could provide for me. He has all this stuff. But I just can't be I can't open up. I can't be transparent with this guy.
Why would you want that?
I think a lot of why so I can be taken care of. So um she could, look good on my arm when I take her out, that type of stuff.
That's a reflection of self.
Word, I get it, but I think we that's I want
That's
long
that's not a
relationships.
real relationship.
It is. It's real. It's like a real
It's
thing.
but it's a real thing, but it's not a real relationship. It's a reflection of self. It's a person who is
People
going into it for their own narcissistic
but
intentions. It's
people
like,
people get married like that and stay married like that for years. You know what I mean?
that doesn't mean that it's
I
what
they
the
did,
type of.
but then they get into the marriage and they like, this ain't what I want. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Right? They get into the, I want long relationships. I really want long relationships. I want people to, experience 30, 40 years. I think that's beautiful. You know what I mean? To be in a marriage with your friend. You know what I mean? So
That doesn't happen if you don't have, like you said, it doesn't happen if you don't have the communication skills.
mm, in the
A
beginning,
30-year marriage, an 11-year marriage, a 24-year marriage, even an 8-year marriage. I would say even an 8-year marriage. And that's where the 7-year itch, I think, comes in. We can pretend for about 7 years. You got the first 3 of building, you kind of suck it up. Then you got the next 3 of, did I make a mistake? And then that last year of, okay, I got to find an exit strategy because this is not where I
mm,
need it. And because you find your life going by and you're not really happy,
mm.
so it doesn't matter how people try to sugarcoat it. We can marry for business reasons. We can marry for money. We can marry for looks. If you're marrying for any other reason besides when I go to sleep at night, I want this person in my life. If you're marrying for any other reason than that, you're marrying for the wrong reason. You're gonna find now. Can you make it last? Yes. Can you have a successful marriage? Yes. And success is based upon the criteria in which you entered it in.
Mm.
So I have a successful marriage. Well, why did you get married? Because I needed to be taken care of. Is he taking care of you? Yes. Are you
Success.
in love? No.
No.
But that's your
I, I
idea
don't.
of
I don't
success.
even like him. I hear that a lot.
I
I
don't even like him.
don't even like him.
Right. But he
What
takes care
the
of home.
heck?
I
Yeah.
don't really need anything else from him.
Right. Right.
We're successful. So why are you getting married? Success or love? To have a successful criteria accomplished or to have actual emotions fulfilled, an emotional connection with somebody?
Hey, listen. Those people, I don't think if they're happy, if what they say, if they like it, I love it. You know what I mean? They're a long relationship is not for them. So I can't knock them. We can't knock them that they're happy. They got a successful marriage. You know what I
That's what I
mean?
said. Success in love. Why are you getting married? Why
Mm,
do you want to get married? You got to look in the mirror. I
mm.
want to get married because of this. As long as these criteria are filled, I'm happy.
So
There
tell
are
me,
some women in this world. There was a wife of the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who gave up all her rights, to Aisha, radiallahu anha. So she married for a purpose. I just want to be married. I just want to be able to say I'm married to the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Right? That was a successful marriage to her. That was her choice.
Mhm.
Right? She was happy. That was her choice. And it wasn't for the butterfly feelings and all this other, emotional this or that. She
Mhm.
had a reason.
Mhm.
Right. So women have reasons, just like men have reasons. Successful businessmen may say, I just want something pretty to look at when I get home, something that's not going to annoy me or add any stress to my life. And I will fund that person's future on whatever
Right.
they want to do,
Right.
as long as they make my environment peaceful and are pleasing to my eye.
That's it.
And that is successful to them.
That's it. So I'm
So
saying that's so my last question was, is love possible for everybody? I mean, yeah, is it is love possible for everybody?
it's possible, but is it wanted? Some people don't want to feel that vulnerability. And I know right now we're in the middle of reading a book, but some people don't want to dive that deep into an emotional dependency upon somebody else to where their entire life changes based upon how that person feels about them. Some people are very independent minded. Some people have been raised in certain conditions. Some people have trauma responses that they will never work through. And this is their trauma response. My trauma response to being, and this is what they would say to themselves.
Mhm.
Well, I was neglected as a child. I never really had an attachment with my parents, my mother or my father. So I really didn't learn the attachment style of love. I like to be able to do my own thing. I like to have my own environment, but I need companionship from time to time. And then if, I want this certain criteria filled. They're not the fairy tale head over heels love kind of person.
Mhm.
They're the person that has decided that because of what they've been through or their love style or their particular love language, that they just want someone there every now and then or criteria filled. And of course they got to like the person. They
Mhm.
probably will always want to like the person or have some
Mhm.
type of love, because I think what we're talking about is love versus in love. So they would like, oh, I love you. Yeah, I love you. But I don't want the traditional marriage. I don't want the I can't breathe without you, the listening to slow music and falling asleep on the couch, the intimate conversations. That's, because it was already traumatized out of them. And so they're
Mhm.
comfortable being at the level that they're at. And that's why having the conversations prior to marriage is important, to understand who you are trying to be with. Woman, if you want a fairy tale husband, you cannot marry a man that does not understand what fairy tales are.
I got a song for that too. Anita Baker.
Mhm.
What was it? Fairy tales. I can remember stories. Those things my mama said. She told me fairy tale. Yo, that's a good one too. He never came to save me. Yeah, yeah, you're right. Because he never came because, like you said, he probably didn't know what is that?
So I had an ex once tell me that that I wanted Prince Charming, but I got Jerome. And it was very funny. It was very funny. But years later, I had to realize what he was saying was, I don't know nothing. I'm from the streets. I don't know nothing about that fairy tale Prince Charming. I don't know nothing about that. But if someone
Mm,
walk up on you, they're gonna have a problem. You see? So it's
mm,
just he just didn't have that emotional connection because that vulnerability was not in him because he was hardened. And but it's not, you have to listen to who people tell you they are. When people tell you who they are, believe them.
I believe him. Yeah. Yeah.
Believe them, because they're trying to tell you who they are so that you'll understand them. Everybody wants to be understood. I don't care if you're the hardest person in the world or the most vulnerable, emotional person in the world. You want someone to understand who you are so that they can treat you how you want to be treated.